Word salad failure. That is Meghan Markle at her recent Fortune event where she's talking about, among other things, that wouldn't you know it, short form content that's popular. She's trying to figure it out, guys. It's really difficult stuff. And we also have the adage that boomerang used to be a thing on Instagram way back in the day, like decades, eons before Meghan Markle returned. We have just infinite word salad nonsense from the alleged female founder who has a series of failures to her name. With love as ever, Confessions of a Female Founder, Archetypes, The Bench, the list goes on. And yet she's trying to wrap up her failures as success. And hopefully we'll see, because I haven't watched it fully yet, the audience isn't into it because we're not stupid, Meghan Markle. You might think you're being clever, but really all you portray is how inadequate you are in the field you're trying to grow in. So we are going to get into all this lovely chaosness today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. And we did the Crown Report today. So if you want to get all the other royal news, we actually covered a lot in this week's program. Feel free to check out the link up above and you can watch the full live stream. I'll be taking it off the live stream tomorrow, I think, and putting it up on the Crown Report YouTube channel. So guys, be on the lookout for that as well. But so many interesting things that we discussed. Love for you guys to give me your feedback because we cover Charles and Andrew, the Waleses, Spain, Denmark, Norway, just so many different things going on within the real royal sphere. So go ahead and check that out. But let's go ahead and get into this video. Now, I will have to say there was like an interesting thing where like CNBC has this still on live and I think doing replay over and over and over again because I was really worried this was an hour and I'm like, I swear this was only supposed to be 20 minutes because I was like, I only really want to do 20 minutes of this nonsense. And apparently that's exactly what we have. CNBC is playing it on endless repeat. And I don't know why this woman can't help any other businesswoman. You get the sense she's discovering TikTok for the first time or Instagram. She's completely devoid of knowledge within this field that she's trying to grow in. And she keeps coming up with the same stinking talking points and word salad. And it's getting old, Meghan Markle. I would suggest she claims to have a small team. That's great. Get a better team because it's not working. And I imagine the small team is mostly you and mostly people who just say yes to anything that comes out of your mouth because you have trained them to tell you everything you do is brilliant. And that's not a great way to run a business because you do need people giving you feedback. So I will hopefully be imparting a lot of, you could say, wisdom in this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. I am going to speed it up though to 1.25. Now this does mean that the audio and the visual is a bit off when she's talking. So I do apologize for that, but it just helps us get through this a bit faster because I do try to pause every about 15 seconds for copyright reasons. So unfortunately, guys, that is a reality. That's what I have to do. So guys, let's enjoy the torture together, shall we? I've only seen clips of this, haven't watched it, but man, oh man, it already was annoying me just listening to clips. So let's check it out.
You've been all over the place, and we were talking backstage about how, yes, you've been to Europe. You were just in New York, which congratulations, you just won a humanitarian award for
a pointless humanitarian award. It's a pointless award. You know who gets awards a lot of times? Pointless people get awards. They just give awards out for anyone. It's like, why are you congratulating her for this ridiculous award that nobody gives a crap about?
Work with online safety for parents and children. And you made it home for one day to see your kids.
Yes, I had to. We were talking about that because everyone said, oh, you must have gone from Paris straight to New York. I said, no, I need to see my babies.
But then she's away for weeks and then was away for like 2+ weeks or something after the Queen died. You know, Meghan, you could have just brought your kids to see you in the UK. That's not out of the realm of possibility. Not sure why you didn't do it, but again, they have to be a little bit cruel to King Charles there.
So went back to California for a day and then continued on. But I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Of course, and always job number one. So I want to rewind.
What does even that mean? Oh, job number one, parenting. Yeah, sure, whatever. Honestly, Meghan, and this is just my personal opinion, personal perception, she doesn't strike me as a very motherly figure. So yes, she parents, but she also has nannies. And I think her and Harry probably rely on the nannies quite a bit.
About 5 years ago, when you and your husband left England and you descended on Montecito, California, and you planned what your next few years would look like in terms of the business impact you could have and the philanthropic impact you could have.
They were just looking to make money, honey. That's all they cared about, making money. Because the royal family was too poor for Meghan Markle. She couldn't live on a £2 million a year salary. This woman needed endless couture and an endless shopping spree at Hermes. Like, this is what Meghan, there's no philanthropic here. It's all about making money.
And a lot of initiatives are going. But I want to just go back to that moment of, as you and your husband were planning this out, how did you think about what you wanted to do, what your ambitions could do, and from your seat, what you could do for women?
And how she could try to destroy her in-laws in the process. Come on, we can't talk about this being a just general lovely thing. Harry and Meghan have made the vast bulk of their money trashing his family. This is not like a nice friendly parting. They were horrible to their family in this process. And you compare it to somebody like Princess Madeleine of Sweden, who's lived in the United States for quite a while and before moving back to Sweden and was on good terms with everyone. Harry and Meghan were not. This was all a cash grab. All Meghan Markle has ever cared about is having millions upon millions, if not billions, in the bank. Unfortunately, she's not talented enough to make that happen, and she married a dunderhead of a man who cannot make that happen for her either. So she's really in a pickle.
Well, I think 5 years ago was a very different situation for all of us. And
that's a good way to sidestep because I complained about the badness of social media and the British press and everything. And it's still bad, and the press is bad here too in the States. So that reason doesn't really work anymore, does it, Meghan Markle?
Archie was so little and
deflecting with the kids. Don't talk about the kids. Talk about what she asked you about, please.
And I had just gotten pregnant with Lily around that same time. So
no, you didn't. She announced her pregnancy with Lily in February of 2021 or something. And she gave birth in June. So this was not around the time. That's not the same time. It's like a year apart. Seriously.
We were nesting and healing, and also
plotting your revenge strategy and retribution strategy against the monarchy. That's what you were doing.
I didn't know I had the bandwidth at that time to think about what the big picture dream was.
Yes, you did. You wanted money. Stop lying. Stop lying.
Was no plan. It was just, let's get through.
Yes, there was a plan to go to Hollywood and make a lot of money. That was the plan. That's why it's crash and burn so hard.
For these next couple of years, create community, which was always so important to both of us. And
you had community in the UK. Stop lying. You had plenty of community, just not the community you wanted because they didn't worship the ground you walk on. Remember, Meghan Markle is a friend with people who only either worship her or she can grift off of, and they all grift off her. That's her friendship group. She didn't want true community. The royals have true community. The aristocrats have true community. That is not what she wanted. She wanted people who she could grift off of and make money from. That's who Meghan is.
Our new environment. And then as we started to get into our producing through our deal with Netflix, really creating projects that we felt were compelling.
They all were trash. And the first one was absolute trash because you trashed your husband's family. Everything was trash, Meghan Markle. Most of it crashed and burned horribly. You guys are terrible producers.
And then I said, okay, I've always loved being able to share. I've always loved being able to...
Share what? What do you mean share? And this was Bella Bajaria's idea. It wasn't even your stinking idea.
Cook and entertain. Is there a business here?
No, there's not. For you, there's not. You're not really into cooking. We can tell. We watch your show.
And I think it was probably most people's assumption that if I was going to go into business, it would be fashion or beauty.
No. I mean, those are maybe in some ways the better options because what you've chosen is like the crappiest of all the options. But you're not really known for your fashion or your beauty. You're known for spending an obscene amount of money on trinket jewelry. Yes, that.
But those 5 years at home, I wasn't running around wearing beautiful outfits. I was probably in Birkenstocks and sweats like the rest of us.
No, you were not. You were not in Birkenstocks and sweats. Don't lie. Don't lie.
Especially during COVID or just barefoot at home. But I was making a lot of jam.
And that's not what you're selling, Meghan Markle. You are selling spread, not jam.
So it ended up becoming the thing that really was my passion project that I turned into a business.
No, because it wasn't your passion. It was Bella Bajaria who was probably begging and pleading with you and your nincompoop husband to come up with an idea for a show. And she saw you doing that and she thought, well, maybe there's a show there. Maybe there's a business there. This was Bella Bajaria's idea. It was not Meghan Markle's idea. And that's why it's sort of flopping and failing, is because she doesn't really have a real passion for it. Let's be honest. She should have done something with stationery and calligraphy for Pete's sakes, not spreads. She didn't even make jam. She made spreads for Pete's sake.
Amazing. And that became As Ever, which you
Train wreck of a brand.
launched about a year and a half ago.
She launched it under a totally different name, honey, a year and a half ago, which crashed and burned because you couldn't get the trademarks. Are you going to follow it up with that?
And went through a rebrand. I'm curious.
When she didn't even sell a flipping product. Like, that's bad. That's really bad business-wise.
You had one of your ventures was a podcast called Confessions of a Female Founder.
Yes.
Which failed. One of your ventures, because you're trying a bunch of things and everything's failing.
About a year and so change after launching a company like that, what would your confessions be? Has it been harder than you thought, easier than you thought, more
I mean, that's a decent question.
rewarding, harder? What's the take?
Well, I think year one for any founder is just a lot of learns. And so we found
Yeah, you learned a lot because you're incompetent and you hire incompetent people, or you don't listen to your competent people. And so you look incompetent. There is literally no excuse at all for promoting a brand online that you had to shutter completely because you couldn't get the flipping trademark for it. There's no excuse for that business wise. There is zero excuse for that. There should have been no way in heck as ever that you were ever promoting a brand without securing, let's say, the trademark, or knowing you could secure the trademark, honey. Like, no excuse whatsoever. All those business women in there know that. Like, I just wish somebody would ask her a hard question. Like, come on.
founded As Ever earlier this year. I think the first drop was in February or March.
You should know, honey. You should know when your first drop of your brand is. And she's trying to feign humility, and that just never really works. But she should come at it with, I know my stuff. She doesn't sound like she knows her stuff.
And what you're looking for is, what are the consumer behaviors and habits? What are the products that they're gravitating to? And I had this incredible fortune of having a
Okay, so she has to go over again. I sold out of everything. Well, that means you didn't do your good research. That means the research was not good. And so you look kind of like a failure at the end of the day. So, yeah, doesn't look very good.
SKU sell out within under an hour, which is amazing. And also you don't learn a lot.
I notice that nobody's reacting to that as she laughs because she sounds stupid. So here's the thing. If you're going to start a business, you should know all of your competition, where you fit in within the market, and how likely your products are going to sell. And how can you position yourself differently than anybody else in the market? I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. Your why really does matter. And Meghan's why is, I'm a duchess, buy my crap. That is her why. And that's why she's not getting good metrics on anything. It's because nobody cares. She's not actually growing a brand. And even if she's a duchess, doesn't matter. You need to figure out how to sell your brand because your products are good. Her products are not good. The idea isn't good. The concepts aren't good. None of it is good. So you end up with train wrecks.
A lot about inventory management, supply chains, and all the
Oh
rest
my
of
gosh.
it.
So then I was doing confessions.
She just sounds so incredibly inept. And she's trying to mask it. Oh, humility or whatever. No, you sound incompetent. Like, the only reason she's getting up there is because they can maybe sell tickets and she probably paid to get in there. Like, that's the only reason they're letting her speak. Like, why any competent businesswoman would take advice from her? No one would. Come on.
Of a female founder as I was building this. I'd always loved the podcast, How I Built This. And I thought,
Oh my gosh, the podcast, How I Built This. Well, honey, you're really bad at doing the How You Built This. Hold on. Let's look at the podcast here real quick because I'm just curious. Because the thing is, I think what Meghan is missing is when it comes to something like How I Built This, what matters is you have to actually have achieved building it first. You actually have to have achieved something. So she put the cart before the horse like she always does. So she does Confessions of a Female Founder at the same time while trying to build her business, when really the real lessons come from 5 years from now after you look back on your failed business. That's when you can share the true stinking lessons of your business, is when you have hindsight. The problem is she has no hindsight. Her business is barely off the ground and she's acting like it's this massive successful thing, and it's not. And there's no fake it till you make it here either. I mean, some of that applies, but because of the amount of scrutiny Meghan Markle is under, that she is not, I think, really addressing this makes her look supremely incompetent. I'll say that over and over again. And it's just endless word salad nonsense.
But could we do something that feels a little bit like the tenor of how I'm building this and really be candid, both talking to female founders who had scaled and sold, and equally to other founders that were on their first run?
So Meghan, I would consider myself a female founder in a way because I've actually grown a business from literally nothing. So I would say I would never take a piece of advice from you. You're horrible at managing business. What I've seen is catastrophic wrecks after the other. And yes, I have a lot of mistakes within my business too, but I'm also running this by myself. You have a lot of resources to avoid stupid things like sending the same email 2 days in a row, which just happened last week, by the way. In case you weren't aware, Meghan Markle, you sent 2 emails in a row, the same email, just in case you weren't aware. So maybe like think and plan a bit better, come up with some better ideas. I don't know. But yeah, you're not a great female founder. And the thing is, you haven't really gone through the trials yet. You're barely off the ground to understand how you can help other people. Again, it would be like me telling people how to build a YouTube channel when I'm just, let's say, 1,000 subscribers in. Yes, I can give you maybe some advice because 1,000 subscribers in a month is quite good. But it's not until you get, let's say, 100,000 like I did in a year, or I'm almost to 200,000. Those lessons that I took to get to that level are something I can impart on somebody because now we're a couple of years in. I've learned a lot more. I've learned things. I've grown. I've changed. I've adjusted. I've added more. I've taken away things. Like I'm trying to figure out the metrics that work. And Meghan, again, hasn't had the chance to really do any of that yet. She can't really give you advice because she hasn't been really through the rigors yet. And that's part of the huge problem. That's why these kind of talks from her are so ridiculous. She is barely out of infancy in her business. She can't teach you that much.
Anyways, like I was. So I was learning from a lot of the women that I invest in and also that I'm friends with. But, I think my learns were to continue to give yourself the grace to have to pivot. And
yeah, because you didn't think through your business. You shouldn't have to pivot that early. You pivoted because you made stinking mistakes, stupid mistakes, avoidable mistakes. This is what drives me bonkers about her, is that she tries to like mask it as, oh, these are just normal things. I'm just learning to pivot. Yes, you do learn to pivot, but you shouldn't have to pivot day freaking one. If you're pivoting day freaking one, you've messed up. If you've had to pivot before you even launched the stinking brand, after you kind of quietly launched it a couple of months before, then you messed up. There's a huge stinking difference here.
you do, because that first sellout, we said, great, let's 10x the inventory for the next seasonal drop. We'll get all the metrics that we need.
You haven't gotten any metrics. You don't have enough products. You don't have enough variety of products to really understand your market. And you're just kind of regurgitating the same stinking things. And this seasonal drop gives us, again, another indication that she's doing the scarcity tactic. And doing the scarcity tactic, yes. If you, let's say, only had 50 of each product, yeah, you would sell out pretty quickly. Let's even be generous and say 100. But that's barely nothing. Kind of like I had somebody get into they sent me an email once going, the Meghan effect is real. I had this necklace that she sold out. Great. How many did you actually have on hand? Did you have 10, 50, 60, 100, 200, 100,000, 200,000, 1,000? Those numbers really matter. How much you had actually really does matter. So if Meghan only had 100 of each and she 10x'd it to 1,000, she's not producing enough. And why are you doing seasonal drops? Explain why you're doing seasonal drops, because she's not doing that. She leaves her business very confusing. It's very confusing business. I don't know what she's trying to do because she's not clear about it. And she thinks she's being clever, but what she's doing is actually confusing her customers.
And then it sold out within 4 hours.
And then it's not selling out at all, Meghan Markle. That's where we're getting to now.
Which again is amazing. but also not helpful.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, stop doing that. That's all a mask. That's all a distraction tactic. Like what I'm doing to you guys is I'm talking to you directly to camera. And yes, I mess with my hands a little bit, but this, like, I generally don't do that. So this to me is all, I'm like, I feel like we're getting no energy from the audience at all. I don't know if they're actually connected or not, but I'd be interested to watch somebody else if they're laughing or clapping or whatever, or they've got the sound off to the audience because the audience didn't react at all. But this is nonsense for anybody with half a business brain.
So I think it's just been a lot of learns and then extending and expanding the product categories to
You really haven't done that yet. It's all the same now.
really see what those habits are and how we can show up in your home for you. So
What? This doesn't make any sense. We can show up in your home for you? How? You're selling something I can get from the supermarket for a third of the price. So what do you mean show up to you? I can get the same. I can go to the supermarket right now. Actually, I have tea all over my room right now. I can get more peppermint tea freaking anywhere. I don't need yours. The question is not how we can show up in your home. The question is, I have a business right now. Speaking as Meghan, I have a business that has nothing proprietary about it except for the fact that I'm a duchess. How can I make my product so stinking good that regardless of the fact that I'm a duchess, they sell out? Because the only people buying her stuff right now are her fans. And yes, she probably has quite a number of them, but that's not sustainable. And her stuff isn't good. I've tried the vast majority of it. It's not good. And so you don't have a business if you don't have good products. It's not just about, oh, we can see how people are buying and stuff like that. No, you can't really see it. And you don't even have a good feedback loop. When you have not a good feedback loop, it's hard for you to actually grow and learn and understand how your business is doing.
yes, jam was the origin story, but
You sell spread.
if I begin with that within your kitchen and
You're not selling jam, honey. You are selling spread. Stop saying jam. You're not selling that.
that's the offering, how do we continue to grow into your lives with as ever? So that's
Can somebody please ask her? You keep saying jam, you sell spread. What's the difference? Please, somebody, goodness, ask
what we're
her
working
that.
towards, especially for Q4.
Figuring
Gosh.
out how to meet the demand that you have from your
She has no demand anymore. The demand has cratered.
following must be challenging. And I was hearing you say earlier that you had planned, oh, surely if we 10x this order, we will have this supply for months.
Oh my gosh, please. Golly, the sycophanticness. Ask her a flipping tough question like, why aren't things selling out now? Why aren't things selling out now? Ask her that.
Yes,
Lo and behold, it's only a few hours.
Right.
So how are you navigating building the infrastructure behind the demand that you as a brand can make?
Well, she's not being clear about the demand is. I don't think it's doing well anymore. Again, she had that initial curiosity, but I even think the curious people probably aren't ordering again. It's just the fans.
I think a lot of considerations go into which products become limited edition, which ones are going to be in steady state.
You haven't explained that to anyone yet. You have not said that to anyone. My gosh, woman, explain your stinking business, please. You're saying this, but you don't actually explain any of it to anybody.
What really is the brand identity beyond the jam, which, yes, is the hero?
You're not selling jam. Oh my gosh. You're not selling jam. You're selling spread. Oh my gosh. How did she not know her own products? There's a difference between jam, jelly, and spread. They're different things. Gosh. Okay.
Product. But then as we've gone into different SKUs, flour sprinkles became quite a thing. And that was
The like crazy people use those. Crazy people use those. They're dumb.
really
And the thing is, they're a dumb thing that's probably not sustainable. Because at some point people go, well, this is stupid. I'm putting it on coffee. Please, gosh, people, if you can't figure out yet that putting it on coffee or tea or your sandwiches is stupid. Golly, please. It's superfluous thing. That's the thing. It's not sustainable because it's totally superfluous. It's just a thing you spread on and that's it. So this idea that it's a thing is ridiculous.
complemented by the show with the series with Love Meghan.
Barely, because you didn't even say what your stinking brand was. That's how you make things work together. Meghan Markle. This is not hard.
was able to show people what I love to do. And then we had the brand where I could tell them how they could have a lot of those things in their.
You didn't tell them anything. You tell people nothing. You barely explain anything. We get random gibberish on your Instagram for as ever. Random gibberish. You don't explain anything. And then one time you had an assistant make a horrible looking crepe, which was filled with whipped cream.
Own home. I think it's going to be a continued process, as most founders will find in year one. And holiday, we have to be ready for holiday.
Well, yeah, no duh. No duh, honey. Like, oh my gosh. She thinks she's saying something smart and she's so dumb. Sorry. This is so dumb.
So trying to be in steady state for most of the SKUs and really not being able to gauge how things are going to sell out, especially when you have people.
Well, it would help if you did stinking research and figured things out and just stocked appropriately. Overstock, for Pete's sakes. But again, she's terrified of not selling out. She's terrified of having a lot of stock on hand that she can't sell, which I think is what's happening right now. None of this makes any sense. Oh my gosh, if I was a founder, I'd be wanting to blow my brains out because this is so stinking dumb. You're at a fortune event and you sound like you're basically shilling things off a lemonade stand, which is basically your business.
Who have an appetite for the products in global territories, but we aren't selling internationally yet.
Because there are so many things you have to go through because you're stupidly selling food. It's much easier to expand when you're not selling food.
And so they're finding workarounds where they'll have their friends stock up for them and then ship it to them separately. So the inventory is moving in a way that we hadn't anticipated, which is the biggest blessing.
I don't think it is. It used to, but I don't think it is.
And can you talk a little bit too about the show and how it matches with As Ever, the brand, and Netflix's role in this? I know they've been a big backer of yours. You've worked with Bella, their chief.
Yeah, because again, this was all Bella's idea. And also, Meghan did not marry the brand and the products well at all, at all.
Chief content officer to develop quite a relationship with Netflix over the years. And that partnership just renewed with slightly different terms. I'm wondering if you could talk about what are the terms now and how has that helped you build As Ever?
This is funny because I've seen this little clip and oh my gosh, does she sell some porky pies here?
Yes, well, my husband and I were in an overall deal with Netflix and then not dissimilar to Higher Ground and the Obamas deal. Once that
she has to drop in the Higher Ground Obama's deal because she has to sort of equate herself with them, even though their stuff overall performed probably a bit better. Yes, they had a smash hit with Harry and Meghan. That was because of the British monarchy, though. It wasn't because of her. It was because of the British monarchy and their relationship to it. That's why it did well.
Had come to its term, the extension of it, which was such an incredible sign of the strength of our partnership.
No, it really wasn't. They would have signed it in the same terms if they were really all that impressed.
Was now being in a first look deal, which is also exciting because it gives us flexibility to go to our partners first. And then at the same time, be able to shop content that might not be the right fit for Netflix, but has a home somewhere else.
Okay, so here's the truth here. Hollywood is failing massively, massively. If you can't get it on Netflix, it's doubtful you can get it anywhere else. Netflix actually bought Demon Slayer or Demon Hunter Slayer, whatever that show is, from the K-pop movie. They bought that from Sony at a cut rate price. Sony produced it, I think, for $100 million. Netflix bought it for $20 million. Netflix is where stuff goes to die, essentially. They buy pretty much anything. If you can't sell it to Netflix, you probably can't sell it anywhere because the idea is crap. And yeah, you might get a sucker or two who's willing to put some money into it, but your track record is pretty crap. So this idea that it gives them flexibility to go somewhere else is a complete and utter tosh of a lie. I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's a lie. And again, that's because, okay, if you guys don't know, Paramount is thinking of purchasing the WB because the WB is doing so badly. They're massively in debt. Paramount is also massively in debt. They also did some layoffs. Disney is really, really struggling. Everybody's struggling. So this idea that they can go to like 12 places and everybody will have buckets of money to throw at them is a complete and utter lie. The only company doing super well in Hollywood right now is Netflix and nothing else. So if you can't get Netflix to go, there is no other place, honey.
So for our non-scripted team and our scripted team, we've been doing a lot of content development that can meet different rooms.
Honey, you have no scripted content development. You've been trying to do it for 5 stinking years. And your non-scripted stuff is crappy. And Netflix was willing to pay for nothing because they had this deal with you. And so they had to get something out there to justify it. But when it comes to these other studios, they'll get pennies on the dollar. If Netflix won't go for it, you know, their show that they were hoping to sell for $1 million, they'll sell from 100,000 if they can't get any takers. Like they should just throw stuff up on YouTube. That's actually the two biggest streaming platforms really are Netflix and YouTube.
And then, of course, for the business, it's been incredible because when you have female executive leadership that is so supportive of.
It doesn't have to be female. You know, like you have Ted Sarandos tied around your finger. Now, really, I don't think he's all that impressed with her, really. He's kind of, again, just shuffling things down the road. Why does everything have to be female? Like, who gives a crap if it's a man or a woman? Honestly, women, leaders of projects in Hollywood, Kathleen Kennedy, anyone, everybody hates them.
Me as an entrepreneur, what we've designed is being able to have so much robust support in year one, where you have the show complementing the brand.
They don't complement each other. The reason they don't complement each other is that she never ever says as ever at all in her show. Never, ever.
Content and commerce are meeting. And
they are not.
And then still enabling me to
none of her products were even in the stinking show.
Have autonomy to build out my own team and scale it in the way that I envision. That will go on, the business will of course go on longer than a series.
No, it won't. Well, now we know her next show is going to drop in November, and that's going to be it. They're not going to sign up for any more with Love Meghan. It failed. It bombed. And it was probably like a crapshoot for money. Anyways, I don't think Netflix, again, really is all that hopeful in them. She's just trying to spin a positive story in a crappy situation.
And so it's really been a partnership that I'm grateful for.
And I think there's a general interest in, will we be seeing a season 3 of With Love Meghan?
There is no interest, honey. Again, sycophantic journalist here asking her very dumb questions. No, nobody cares about As Ever.
Will it be on
or
Netflix?
with Love Meghan?
Do we know?
Well, the holiday special is coming out in November. And
okay, stop it with the fake. What is it? She knows.
And it's a really good one. So I think
the rest of your stuff was pretty crappy, Meghan. So I don't think it's going to be that good.
Looking at that format, again, it's a year of learns. So we're able to say.
Because you don't think through anything. So you have to learn everything. Like, golly.
8 episodes for 2 seasons. It's a lot of work.
Okay, I do stuff all the time. I don't need 8 stinking episodes and 80 freaking people to get my job done. It's not that hard. And people do better content than her. She posts better content made by other people on her own As Ever Instagram. And it's infinitely better than what she put up on her show with 80 people, months to produce. It was an overproduced, like it looked pretty, but it was way overproduced for what it was.
And having done Suits for 7 years, I remembered what goes into a production. I also recognize how much people want content in different sizes.
Okay, so Suits and this show with Love Meghan are very different series. Are you not aware of the difference between scripted and unscripted content? Or was your stuff very scripted? Which I would imagine it was. But very, very different shows there. Very different schedules. Like 8 episodes a year versus like 16 or something for Suits, hour-long dramas, lots of setups, costume changes and everything. Meghan's stuff is not that.
So part of what we're testing out now is it's amazing to be able to sit and watch a show for 30 minutes, but how can I give you a recipe in 2 minutes? And where can I share that with you? And how that continues to grow as ever. So
did she just discover short-term content or short-form content? This is not rocket science, Meghan Markle. Oh my gosh. You feel like she just discovered like the ball or something. Like, Meghan, we all know this. Like, I should do more short-form content. But honestly, I just don't have the time for it. And there is a way to do it, but honestly, like, I just don't have the capacity to do a lot of short-form content. And so I don't. But I would like to. Yeah, 150%. I would like to do more short form because I know a lot of people do like it and I even like it. And she could do it right now. Well, we got to figure it out. It's not that hard. Just do it. The stuff I've seen from her are crappy. She's not really giving recipes. She's not even showing you how she's doing it. She's showing you the same 2 recipes time and time again. How many times have we seen this woman make fingerprint cookies, for Pete's sakes? At least 3 or 4 times at this point. So you're not giving people anything, and stop talking about it and do it. You have a team. Do it. It's not that hard. And I say that as somebody, and I can say that as somebody who does content every stinking day, even when I'm not feeling good. I do it.
So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
That's great. So the holiday special in November, we'll keep an eye out for that.
Nobody will.
I do lots of gift wrapping techniques. You guys know I used to teach gift wrapping.
We don't know, Meghan. We don't care.
At Paper Source and advanced gift wrapping. So, all of those things that you do as an auditioning actor.
I'm funny. I actually hear people laughing. I wonder if they're laughing at her. I mean, it's nice, but there's also Instagram videos YouTube videos who can teach you the exact same stinking thing. I can go up right now, guys, and find a YouTube video that teaches you how to wrap. Let's do it. Advanced gift wrapping techniques. Here we go, guys. Look, how to wrap gift like a pro. 4.4 million views. Gift wrapping hack number 2. All these videos. How to wrap gifts. So yeah, Meghan has really not that much to share, to be quite honest.
That's not the full circle I was expecting, but here we are.
Yeah, you had a lot of odd
We had a couple of maybe giggles there.
jobs. Froyo was
Because think about it. This woman went from playing a big character on Suits, balcony of Buckingham Palace, and now she's teaching you how to freaking wrap gifts. That is not a trajectory that anybody would find really all that impressive.
another one. I
Oh
believe.
yeah,
Yes.
Humphrey Yogurt. That was my first job, and
Why are we talking about her dumb jobs again when she was a kid? I do not give a crap. We've heard this 12 times.
when I used to do calligraphy, I used to do it for so
And we had to point that in too. The business she should have actually done, which is calligraphy.
many celebrity weddings and for hotels.
Name one, Meghan. Name one that you did calligraphy for a wedding for, because I think she's exaggerating.
And that was in between auditions. And at the time, I don't know why I didn't think to just buy a glove, but you don't want the natural oils from your hands to get on the beautiful paper.
For Pete's sakes.
So I would just put a white tube sock on my hand.
Oh my gosh, this faux humility is ridiculous.
Right? All these very fancy cards for people. So
Okay. Okay, like I can go right now and buy some. I actually found a calligraphy company the other day. They actually do calligraphy making classes all around here. And she's not doing calligraphy. I forgot to say, she does her fancy cursive. It's fancy cursive, Meghan. It's not actually calligraphy.
Amazing. Well, a long way from the white tube socks on your hands, but we can all appreciate that.
yes.
Yeah. From white tube socks to the balcony of Buckingham Palace to maybe white gloves this time. Very impressive.
So I'm curious, as you think about expansion for As Ever, we've talked a little bit about, obviously there's global appeal that you could
Not that much.
tap into, and there's also stores. Right now you're direct to consumer. Can we expect to see some of your stuff maybe in like a Target or?
She would actually do better. She put her stuff in retail because more people would be willing to take a risk on something if it's in a store. But the question is, how much is she actually selling? And she'll have to be actually transparent about that.
Where could we physically buy it, do you think, in the next year?
Well, I think the retail component is so important, especially in growing a business, but also what I'm really working to convey and my intention with As Ever is getting back to things that are tactile.
But you sell your stuff online. How is that getting back to tactile? I'm confused. She really knows nothing about her business.
We connect with each other. You want to put your hands on it. How does it feel? And you can only convey so much of that, obviously, in videos or in e-commerce. So I think,
Oh God. She just throws out buzzwords and word salad. I'm like, oh my gosh.
my intention would be to have really bespoke, small retail collaborations, do some.
That's not a great idea. That's a really crappy idea. Just put it in Target, honey. Just put it in Target. You'll sell a decent amount. Doing bespoke stuff is a dumb idea. It's not a great idea because the problem is right now her stuff is bespoke and she really needs to make it mass market because her stuff is not good enough to be bespoke. Again, spread is what you make when your jam doesn't work out. It's not something you do when your jam is good. You make jam. So, big difference.
Interesting ones as well in global territories. And then, of course, as you think about scaling, it's a brand that's accessible.
No, it's not. It's really not.
But it still has a quality that feels as though it's masstige. And
it really doesn't. I have your stuff. It's crappy quality. It's not good quality. It's just basic quality, Meghan. None of it's all that. None of it has much of prestige, I would be honest.
So when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
Great. If you make it to the next couple of years, I'm not even sure you'll do that.
Great. And then I wanted to think about or talk about how you are using social media to pair content and commerce and promotion.
Not well. It's not done well.
You took a hiatus from Instagram. You came back.
January. Woo, it's changed.
You're back.
Oh my gosh, he is so obsessed with Instagram.
You're in action, but you're not on TikTok. I'm
Not
curious,
yet.
why, will you be going on TikTok?
Which is where everything is. I should be on TikTok more, although they took away being able to add a bunch of hashtags, which I'm not particularly a fan of. So yeah, but honestly, again, it's just time for me. Why I don't do TikTok?
I don't know. I mean, I think
That is where everything is. The thing is, again, if I had help to like do the editing and do a bunch of things, I would be on TikTok more. I just don't have the help. So Meghan has infinite resources to be on TikTok, and she should be on TikTok.
Look, I have a very complicated relationship with social media, as you can probably imagine.
Not really. No, I don't get it. Just be on social media.
And I also recognize the role that it plays in business. Part of it is, equally the work that you were talking about earlier. My husband and I spend a lot of time working on online harms, specifically surrounding protecting our children.
And she does something interesting here, protecting our children.
Not ours personally, but
so she's not interested in protecting her own personal children, but everybody else's kids. Good to know, Meghan Markle.
All of our children for what they're susceptible to in the online space. So I'm sensitive to that. I also recognize that if you can show up in these spaces and be on the side of good, there is
human beings are on social media, and she's not on the side of good. She's showing off her ritzy, wealthy lifestyle. That's what she's doing. She's not doing anything altruistic. She's literally showing off her fashion on Instagram. That is what she's doing. And then championing her daughter over her son. That's what she does.
Tremendous value in that also. So we're going to continue to expand the footprint in the social and digital space for the.
She actually has lost 1,000 subscribers on or followers on Instagram on as ever. And Meghan has pretty stalled out. She's been at 4.2. She might have made it to 4.3 and then dropped back down to 4.2. And it's been 4.2 for quite a while. She's not growing well.
Brand for me personally, I don't know. The last time I was on Instagram, you guys, boomerang was a thing. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and that's not a good anecdote, Meghan. It makes you sound really out of touch.
So having started in January,
and she already told us that a couple interviews ago, if not multiple times.
I just started to explore and play.
She hasn't really done any of that. Just explore and play, really?
In the same way that anyone else does when they're online.
No, you haven't. Your stuff's been very banal. Like, give me a break.
Happened to do it with a little bit more attention on what I was doing.
No, she had attention like the first time too. She had like a lot of intention. She was constantly trying to grow.
Yeah, it's a hard decision to make because obviously people want to be hearing from you, but then they have lots of opinions that they stick in there that are not welcome, not helpful. And
a lot of them are not welcome for Meghan because she doesn't like criticism and she doesn't like being held account for times that she does not say, let's say, the accurate thing.
Curious, as you are, founders always have to look for signals in what's working, what's not working, how do I tinker, how do I pivot? How are you able to decipher out like the constructive from obviously the not constructive?
She doesn't. That's the thing. She doesn't.
You need to ignore.
Well, there are certain things that I've done just from my own self-preservation, but also that I've applied to the brand and for the people that are incredibly supportive. I know, the question can be around naysayers, but if you really see the groundswell of support
there's not that much. That's why she only has 4.2 million followers on Instagram and not even breaking 1 million on as ever. And half of that is journalists. There's a reason why Meghan has not been more successful than she is. This delusional belief that both her and Harry have, by the way, that there's this groundswell of support somewhere. It's really not. Pretty much everybody I meet do not like her, don't really like him, or like him better than her, definitely. But there's this delusional fantasy that there's some groundswell of support somewhere. It's just that. It's fanciful delusion.
Surrounds the brand and me. That's what I feel the most, and that's what I appreciate. But by design, I also recognize that a lot of those people aren't going to my page to see negativity.
But that's the reality. You're getting criticism, rightful criticism. You're getting a lot of accurate criticism. That's what you can't handle. You can't handle anybody telling you, hey, when you said on Oprah Winfrey that your son did not get security because of his skin color, when it was just because he was going to be, at the time, I think, 7th in line to the throne and constitutionally irrelevant, or when it comes to the title, oh, he wasn't going to get a title, so therefore not security. Again, a lie. That's not how it works. A lot of title people don't get security in the UK, and he wasn't getting a title not because of the color of his skin, but because he was not the grandson of the monarch at the time. He was the great-grandson, and he was not the son of the future Prince of Wales. Again, she has a tendency to lie. For example, I was married 3 days before our wedding by the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he had to come out and say, no, that wasn't true. She has a hard time with the truth. And that's what people like me put a mirror up to, is the truth for her, which she can't handle.
And so not just protecting myself or the people that work with me, but also the supporters. So I don't have the comment section on.
So why don't you call out your supporters for harassing people who are not fans of you? Like crazy cyber stalking on your behalf. Why don't you call any of that out? Why don't you call out anything against Catherine, the Prince of Wales? It's all about you and your followers that you want to support, that you've galvanized to your bandwagon.
That's a choice. And yet part of that challenge that I was trying to solve for was, then how do I create community? That is
You can't. That's the thing. She can't.
so key to this brand, and it's so key to how I like to show up in the world. How do we
No, you don't. You don't like community. You had community in the royal family and you rejected it.
actually connect if you can't have comments and exchange? So my social media manager would send me screen grabs of different things that people were posting in their UGC. And I said, okay, what am I going to do here? They said, you could do a text overlay and respond. And I said, oh no, in the same way that on my own.
Oh my gosh. Golly. She has a social media manager. That's just really funny. She posts like half a second of things.
Own camera roll at home, I'll zoom in and I can scribble a little note and send it to a friend. I've just started this construct where I will start writing in my handwriting a note to users who put up content. So I said, let's find small and creative ways.
That's dumb. That's a waste of time. So she's not really creating a community. She's like personally replying to them with a letter. That's just a waste of time. Just put the stinking comments on. That's dumb. I mean, I'm sure her fans love it, but I think that's dumb.
To engage the community and let them know that I'm listening, that I really see and appreciate their feedback.
But you're not actually creating community. They're only creating community with you. So they're not creating a broader community because they can only communicate with you and you can only communicate with them. I don't get it.
So I think a lot of it is just designing what works best for you while also being really cognizant of what is going to help grow the business.
You're not growing your business well, though. You post really dumb things on Instagram.
With an intentional and authentic point of view. And that's what I'm constantly working to try to achieve.
I think it's so hard, the whole online experience. And we were talking also backstage about a study that I don't know how many of you saw this in the FT over the weekend. They were showing, have we possibly reached peak social media as of 2022?
Interesting.
And there are definitely charts that show, yes, engagement time across social platforms has gone down and it's being
Interesting.
led by younger generations.
Yeah. And they're probably as well, like they're probably leaning more on podcasts and YouTube. That would be my guess.
And so I think that's like a really interesting trend to pick up on. And as a print publication at our heart, I'm very encouraged by the trend of going a little bit back. And I'm curious what you think about other formats that are not digital. Have you considered a cookbook? Could we expect that in the future? Maybe a magazine?
No. Oh my gosh. No, gosh, no. Oh my gosh, terrible idea.
I love paper. And I really love, again, the sentimentality of what happens. We all have those cards or issues of a magazine that you've held on to for so long for whatever reason. And so from my standpoint, if there's ways to really harken back to a time where things...
Okay. So people might want some more physical, but do they want physical from her? That's the question.
Things were slowed down a little bit, whether that's in a limited edition. And yes, of course, digital is how people are consuming media, but I do think we can start new trends. And I love a classic. I love things that are...
And you have yet to create a classic of anything. None of your recipes are particularly groundbreaking or interesting. Most of your stuff is copycatted from something else.
Dare I say vintage inspired, but for our kids, they would think a magazine probably feels a bit vintage. You know, I do think there's something incredible about a handwritten note. I would love to be able to combine all of my loves.
Then why haven't you done that? Because it sounds to me like creating spread is not your love. Creating what you have is not your love. You don't talk about your teas. You don't talk about your shortbread. You don't talk about your crepe mix. None of those actually sound like your loves. You're like, I don't even know if she knows what her loves are, to be honest. But stationery would have probably been actually the better product. But again, everything was rushed. And so nothing was thought through.
That really are a little bit more old school into that type of forum. So I would say never say never.
That's great. Well, if we can help you with that, please let us know.
Yes, I know who to call.
So
Sure.
I'm curious, now that you have numerous businesses and ventures under your belt,
A lot of them have failed, massively failed.
and you're obviously still in the thick of it, what have you learned about yourself as a leader and as a CEO?
That she's terrible. Terrible.
Thank you. You know, it's been incredible because when I was on Suits,
She has to bring up Suits. Honey, that was years ago.
that was my last time really in a position with a very large team. We had a crew of 200 people.
And you were not in charge of any of it. You were a bit player in that system. You didn't even try to write scripts or directs. That's what a lot of people do if they're very interested in the industries and do different things. You were basically a bit player who worked a couple of days a week. Like, let's be serious.
And I worked on the show for 7 years, and I loved the crew. I loved that experience and the culture that's on set as well. And so I think being able to now have my own business,
And you don't know how to run it.
it's very different than being on set. And even
Well, yeah, duh.
the set for With Love Meghan, that's a crew of 80 people. It's still a very large crew.
Excessive number of people for how like, why did you need 80 people on that crew? I'm still flummoxed by that. And she has to throw that out. This is like the third or fourth time she's thrown that out. I don't know why.
But for my business,
I don't know what she thinks she's like bragging or something. It's weird.
I've been very decisive about having a lean team. I think you want to have a great soundboard of people that are with you and with varied points of view. You want
So this is probably the actual truth here, is that she wants a lean team because she doesn't want people to talk back. That's probably the truth here. And the leaner team she has, the more she can control them, in my personal opinion. So less likely they're going to go to the press and tell everybody what a horrible boss she is. Allegedly. You know, we have reports from two sides of the Atlantic now that she's not a great boss.
someone who's going to push back. You want
She does not want people to push back. She does not want people to push back.
someone who's going to be so creative and savvy in a space that might not be my skill set. So I love creating that culture, having that camaraderie with my team.
She does not have that camaraderie with her team. She demands things and they do things her way. I can tell. I've seen her products. I've seen her copy. It's all her. We know it's her. There's nobody else. She basically dictates and demands and they follow.
And playing and being curious.
She is not playful or curious.
Constantly just pushing the envelope to ask the questions of how can we show up in a way that truly indicates that we are putting care into every detail.
I do not see care in every detail. I have your products. Again, I've tried them. They're not very good.
And how do you decide what you lean into as a CEO? It's a small team. It's like 10 people?
Less than, yes.
Less than-
For the tight team, yes, of course.
Because the business is small and the business is not being run well.
And so how do you decide where you're going to show up in those moments? Because I know you love detail. And
Yeah, she's obsessed with detail.
you want to be in charge of a lot.
Yes, because she's a control freak.
So how do you do that?
Well,
It's interesting that she picked up on that already.
I think you have to work as a team. You're only as solid as the rest of the people around you. And
Her team is all people who say, yes, ma'am.
also, I want the life-work balance, if such a thing exists. You know, I'm still going to go and chaperone the first grade field trip.
No, she doesn't. I would almost guarantee she does not chaperone the field trip at all.
And then run back and try to finish the meetings. I love the creative part, which I think I've touched on quite a bit. And
She is not very creative.
the brand is an extension of my aesthetic.
Is really not. I don't really get what her aesthetic is except for white and beige because she likes beige. Even though the royal family forced her to wear beige, guys.
But it's more than that. The operational side is so key. And I am constantly looking at ways in which we can, how do we adjust our margins? What does our spend look like? Really going through a P&L.
I somewhat probably see that happening because, again, she's a bit of a control freak and she probably doesn't want to spend that much money. But at the same time, she's also the person who agonized over packaging for as ever. That's not something to agonize over. It's just should go in a box. Like she wanted it like to be presented in a particular way. And I'm like, why? Just put it in a freaking box and get it shipped. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Because I've had to wait 2 weeks to get her products sometimes if I've ordered it. And it's very, very annoying. Very, very annoying.
So I think from my standpoint, it's really all of it holistically. And I don't think there's any founder in year one that would say something differently, not if they had the ambition to scale in the way that I do.
She does not have the ability to scale in the way that I think she wants to in her mind scale. It's not there.
And for final question, I know financial independence has always been important to you.
She married a man for money. She married money. That's what she did. And she used his money to make herself money.
And you've said that it's the most empowering thing. I agree.
Yeah, when you are able to do that. It's a very wealthy, elitist thing to go, oh, it's so amazing to have financial independence, isn't it? Yeah, it's helpful when you marry a guy who is a royal. That does help. Now, granted, he doesn't have endless resources of cash. That's Elon Musk. But come on, she's not your average Joe here.
And I think all the women in this room who are incredibly hardworking, every job is hard, but these career women also would agree. How do
She married her money. She didn't earn it. She married it.
you think about that? Because you had a whole career
She married all of her stuff now. Rachel Zane from Suits, Meghan Markle from Suits would not have anything this woman has right now. All of it is due to the man she married. She did not achieve any of it on her own.
Successful before you got married. You're having a whole other career now. What's the importance of financial independence to you?
Well, financial independence is what gives you the freedom of choice.
Yeah. Must it be lucky to have a royal as a husband and have a father-in-law who is a king? That does help, doesn't it, Meghan Markle? You're not the average Joe here. You're not the hardworking woman like those women in the room. You married your money. This is a stupid question.
And I think in this day and age, we all need to be able to have our autonomy. That is,
I guess. But I mean, we all have autonomy anyways. What is she talking about? We are not living in the Stone Age. Why does she think it's the 1950s? I don't understand.
is a huge element of that. Financial literacy, for that reason, is something that I spend a lot of time on, specifically for young girls and their
Yeah, because young boys don't matter to her.
empowerment. And I think
Yeah, because young boys don't matter to her.
as women, especially in a room like this, we can all probably agree that as women, when we're supporting each other for all of these elements that might not necessarily be the ones that people want to hear us talk about, there's nothing
People want to hear you talk about actual business stuff, not this nonsense you're spewing.
taboo. Doesn't need to be anything taboo about
Nobody thinks it's taboo, honey. This is not the 1950s. What are you talking about?
talking about our financial independence or our independence overall. And as women, when we support each other, we are not simply supporting each other's lives, we're supporting each other's legacies.
You mean your legacy of bullying people on two sides of the Atlantic? That alleged legacy? Bravo, Meghan Markle. Destroying a family, making baseless allegations, perhaps, allegedly, making fun of your niece for a dress that you had Givenchy make that was too big for her. Maybe on purpose. I don't know. Just spitballing. Yeah. No, she doesn't support other women. She called Catherine baby brain. She does not support other women.
And that's the piece that's so powerful. When I'm supporting or investing in another female founder, I am investing in what she is going to do for the culture, for her business, the legacy she's going to leave, how that brand, if it's a CPG brand.
It's probably, most of those businesses are probably going to fail. Or at least I kind of hope they fail. Not really for the people who are running them, but because I just find Meghan so utterly repulsive as a woman in a lot of ways.
And is going to show up in people's homes. So it is all fundamentally important. And I don't think it's a conversation we should shy away from. I think it's one that we should really embrace together.
We've always embraced it, Meghan. It's not the 1960s or 1950s, 1930s, whatever. What are you talking about?
Thank you, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Thanks,
Such an honor to have
Allison.
you with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks,
How embarrassing.
everybody. Have a great time. Thank you.
Gotta do the hug. Oh gosh, how embarrassing for Fortune. That was really bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the as ever annoying Duchess of Sussex, who continues to spout endless word salad nonsense, who knows nothing about business, but throws out little buzzwords so she can try to seem smart on the subject. But if you know anything about business, you know that her business is a disaster. So many of the projects she started are a disaster. And for the last time, Meghan, you sell spread, not jam. Sorry. Okay. I've gotten that out of my system because I could, like, she said it like 10 times. I sell jam. No, you don't. You sell spread. How does she not know? I mean, think about it. The crazy thing is, this woman cannot even tell you what she sells. That should tell you everything about Meghan Markle and this brand. What a train wreck it is. What a disaster it is. It'll limp along for a little bit longer, but I already feel like she's getting bored with it. And unless she has a smashing success, I think as ever will fold within, I would argue, the next 5 years at the very least, if not within the next 2. So guys, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my rant about jams and spreads. Because, oh my gosh, why does she keep saying jam? I don't understand. Anyways, guys, let me know if you feel as crazed as I do about the topic. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I shall speak to you again very soon. Bye.